Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Optimistic Agenda podcast. My name is Mossam, I'm your host, and today I am bringing you a wonderful live that I did on Instagram with my friend Adilea from the Create Your Life Academy on Instagram. And this was just such an impromptu thing. It's something we've been wanting to do for quite a while, and we finally managed to get around to it where our timings and everything just kind of aligned. And there's going to be more of this coming, but this was such a juicy chat just between two friends sitting down, chilling out. And some of the topics that we covered were clearing your energetic channel through inner work and taking action to receive more. We had tips to access your inner guidance, handling fear with grace, and tips also for managing procrastination and perfectionism. And there's so much more juicy goodness in there. So I hope you enjoy.
Hi!
Hello!
We're doing this.
I know, oh my God. Can you believe it? Like after all this time?
I know.
Yeah, oh my gosh. How have you been?
I know we've been chatting, but how are you feeling now?
I'm good. Hopefully the room is not echoey, so we don't have light still.
Oh no. Okay.
To anyone listening, like the power went off. Power went away. Life has been lifing like hardcore.
Yeah.
Especially today, you know, when we decided like we're gonna do this, and all of a sudden it's like all of these things. My dogs are like super clingy because the groomers were here.
Yeah.
So they only managed to do one.
Aww.
So the other one's gonna come tomorrow. He's gonna come tomorrow to do him. But yeah, so it's just been, you know, all of that upheaval, and I was like, we're still showing up. We're still showing up because there was a time, not even long ago, where I was just like, oh, now I need to cancel this or I need to postpone this, right? And we were talking about that earlier as well. So yeah, but I don't know. We've gone straight into it. Do we want to do a like little quick introduction for anyone listening?
I mean, my name is Adilea, and I have a page on Instagram called Create Your Life, where we talk about all things creation and how we're blessed with all the creative powers to create the life of our dreams and much, much more. So that's where I'm coming from. Do you want to do the same?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Mossam. I'm a confidence and voice activation coach and tapping practitioner. And you can find me on Instagram at theoptimisticagenda.com. The Optimistic Agenda. There's no .com yet. But yeah, like I work with people on so many different levels to clear out any stagnancies, any stuckness. Like we're working a lot with emotions to, you know, start clearing that out and begin manifesting and creating.
I love what you do. I love
what we're
tapping.
doing.
I honestly love all of your work.
Thank you. I love tapping. It's changed my life.
I think so too. And I think tapping fits in well with whatever we're about to talk today as well. That life has really been lifing. We've been, both Fraz Mossam and me are facing so much of overwhelm these coming days. And I think that's a topic for today's live session as well, how to handle life's obstacles, because we're so sucked in with engaging with our reality and being so immersed in all of our problems and everything that we forget that we have access to such beautiful modalities like tapping and even divine guidance. So that's what we're going to be covering today, I believe. And Mossam's going to bring in some lovely nuggets from her experience in dealing.
You're okay.
So there was a time limit on my Instagram that just
yes. Yeah, I made sure I clicked. I get that as well. I made sure I clicked on it, just being active for the rest of the day.
Amazing.
Totally get it.
So yeah, we're going to be covering some of that. So I just wanted to talk about how you handle overwhelm sometimes, at times. Like, and everything leading up to today's live session is a beautiful example of how, you know, even though we had so many things come up, like even right now, I had a call coming up and I had to decline it. There's so much happening. So how do you find you know the energy to still show up even though you feel like self-sabotage kicks in and you're hitting your upper limit? So where do you find that energy, I think, to still show up regardless?
Yeah. And kind of like that will to just keep on going, right? Like and pushing through. I first of all have goosebumps like this whole time that you've been talking about this. I'm just like, it's just shoop, up and down my arms. And yeah, honestly, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't like this. Like, not even maybe a couple of months ago, it would have knocked me down. Like, oh my God, can we just postpone this? Or
Yeah.
should we just like, do it tomorrow or something like that? And just wanting the conditions to be perfect. At the risk of sounding like a broken record to anyone who's already been in my world for a while, they know that I'm going to say tapping. Like tapping, just clearing out those emotions, like whatever is coming up, and creating safety around that as well, I think has been super helpful. In terms of just like recognizing that it just is what it is. Everything doesn't have to be fully formed perfect. There's so much, especially for us as women, when we were little girls, it's like this, and I mean, if you look around, even right now, I just saw an ad, a friend had sent me from Nike, and just covering like the double standards on women, and those things still exist today as well. Like we're trained to be good girls. Society is training to see us and train us as good girls, right? Be nice. Don't be too much or don't be too little. Just be just perfect, or everything has to be laid out just right. There is all of this competition. I'm diving off the deep end here, but reining it in. It's recognizing that and noticing where my patterns were, noticing where these things were frustrating, and using my emotions, using my feelings, the frustration, the anger, all of those things, and being like, hey, where do I want this? Where do I need to change? What is this bringing up? And just questioning that and going with that, following that little like trail of breadcrumbs and wiping that. No, honestly, it's been some time in the making, and I'm still constantly growing and shifting and evolving, but it's happening at a different pace now because I've done that foundational stuff, but now it's also recognized like, oh, enough of my bullshit, right? Like, enough of this. It's time to step up. So I think that's where it is, and it always helps having a little bit of accountability and just building up that confidence with yourself as well, of being like, hey, you know what, if I've told myself this, I'm going to do this. Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, today I was just so for getting on this live. Like, that's how I think I've been in the past couple of months as well. It's not been too long since I've stopped giving excuses, because used to consider myself the excuse queen. So I used to put off tasks like anything, nobody's business. But it all came down to just getting fed up of your excuses time and again. And what I also realized was happening was every task that I was putting off was also sort of creating like this heaviness in my life, like this emotional baggage. And I was feeding into it with like my excuses over and over. And the heaviness was just weighing in. And what I also found was happening simultaneously was I felt like my creativity was getting blocked in a way, because I felt like I was not, like channeling things out of my body in a way and out of my energetic field. Like I had to let these things be done because they were there and they were put on my list for a reason. And I felt like all of these small tasks that we keep procrastinating about, they are important, and we gotta get to them, because I think we're creative beings, and we, like all the ideas, or even the smallest task on our to-do list, it it is energetic, it is
Yeah.
energy, and you gotta let that flow. So I thought it was very important to just get the task done right away. Like every time I have an idea, I try to execute it ASAP without feeding into it, because the more I feed into it, it just grows bigger and bigger and bigger in size. And if I never end up doing it, then it just weighs super heavy on me. And I feel that then blocks my creativity. So I've just started to notice myself, like every time I'm putting off things, now I just remind myself that no, let's just get it done. But even this live stream, um, it came to my mind as well that we had not planned this well. We didn't have posters going out. We did not posted it on our page. But I thought that this doesn't matter. All that matters is the message, and the message had to go out. That's the
Yes.
reason why we were called to do these live sessions together, because something had to be flowing, and something had to get out to people, for ourselves and for everyone else joining as well. So that's where I'm coming from. That's why I
Yeah.
feel like every time you have an idea, every time you have something on your list, you just got to get it done, get it out of the way, and then be like an open channel. So sorry about the previous live. I think I just got disconnected. I'm going to try and invite Mosam again. Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm so sorry.
The tech is teching.
You were saying something when it just ended.
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? I was like speaking, and then suddenly it was like, thank you for joining or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was showing me the live back, like when you were talking just for a few minutes. It was like, this is so trippy. What's happening?
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
But yeah, I was just saying that I love that you brought that up, because what was I saying? Because same, and yeah, I've noticed that heaviness as well with like just the lagging, and creates so much frustration as well, and you lose the momentum. And that's incidentally also very interestingly is that exact thing has happened to me the last like week or so, because I've got so many other things that have been going on, like other work that's been coming up that was pushing other things, simultaneously as well, that were more important. And it was kind of like trying to prioritize between the different things, just juggling all of the things and all the plates. And there were just some certain tasks that just kept on being pushed, to the next day, or the next, like, whatever, the following week as well. And it just got to a point where I was like, you even look at that because you're adding it to every other, like the next day and then the next day's list. And you're looking at it, you start approaching it with dread. And again, same thing with that heaviness, where it comes in. And what I found is sometimes just like today, in a sense, was a little bit of a blessing with the power going out, because then I didn't have the distraction of the internet, of being like, hey, you know what, I'm just being busy, but doing nothing productive.
Yeah.
And kind of just did a few like little, decluttering things or putting things away, like, yeah, and just those small tiny little things, and that felt good. Not to say a lot of the important things have gotten done. We're still a work in progress, but it's definitely been better. And I also noticed, again, coming back to tapping, like sometimes just clearing out, like, what's the reason for the procrastination? What's the reason of constantly putting these things off? What's the reason because sometimes it's just creating some kind of underlying fear or anxiety that's fueling that, because you're afraid of what the consequence might be, even if there isn't one. But, our brains work in mysterious ways. And if we just clear that, and the more I realize, like, the more I started doing all of that clearing and addressing, like, just asking these kinds of questions, right? I started getting more things done and procrastinating less. And that's not, again, I'm not perfect, but it's so much better than it used to be. Where now I'm just like, I'll see something, it's like, okay, fine, like, bite the bullet, just need to get it done. And the thing even about energetically that you're saying is, to me, it reminds me of this pipe of water that just constantly keeps collecting, like deposits or something around, the more you don't do those things. So it just becomes like narrower, and it gets to a point where it'll start erupting at some point, or just creating that backlog. And I've dealt with that as well. And my creativity, my inspiration, my everything started coming up, or started almost like unleashing itself the more I started acting on those things that were coming through for me, right? So yeah, I love that you brought that up.
I think we have a question.
Yeah.
How would you guys suggest one keeps pushing themselves forward after taking a big step that they have been procrastinating? And how would one have to deal with the anxiety that follows? I think that's exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not. Sometimes, yes, it is pushing yourself forward after taking a big step that they've been procrastinating. Honestly, you're just going to feel it, because I think, at least in my experience, it's been that as soon as I do the big thing that I've been putting off for the longest time, first of all, I realized it didn't take me that long. And second of all, it opened me up more. So just what we were talking about, like energetically, it opens you up. It's almost like popping the lid open, or starting to do like the cleaning and sweeping, and you'll start to see like the results of that.
Yeah.
So for me, almost always, I feel a big surge of energy rather than anything else. But for the anxiety that follows, anxiety is a lot of the times the result of fear of the future. So I would just tap on, what am I afraid of? Like, what am I afraid will happen from me putting myself out there for whatever it is? Again, I have no context, but just generally, like, I think that would be applicable. What do you think?
I also think the same. One thing is that we can't hide from anxiety. I feel like anxiety is something that we all deal with. Stress, the fear is something that's completely normal. I mean, we have modalities like tapping, meditation, and everything to help us with the anxiety, but it's something that we can't help. Like it's normal human behavior to feel fear every time you're going to do something big. And we've got to go with that, knowing that we are going to be shit scared, but it's going to, you got to do it anyway, because you know how important it is. And even journaling and writing down things that you're most afraid of usually takes away their power, because you're just building it up in your head along with everything, your plans and everything can get pretty overwhelming. So writing it down and realizing that all of us go through it, but there are people who have done the same and more, going through with the anxiety and have still survived. They're still doing their best. They've moved on to the other side and probably still face anxiety with the other stuff that they have to do at their level. Of doing things. So the more we run away from anxiety and fear and all of this, the more we feed into it. I think it's best that we accept that this is completely normal. Have your ways of dealing and coping with that anxiety, but go through with the idea, because your anxiety is not going to go away ever. It's probably going to get better and better the more you take those steps towards your big leap, but it's not going to go away. It's best we accept it, we embrace it, we heal parts of ourselves, we journal, we get to know ourselves, get to know our patterns, so that we are equipped with everything we need to handle the situation in the future whenever this anxiety pops up. Also, another thing is that we never know what's going to lie on the other side. We sometimes just make things up in our heads based on everything that we've gone through in the past. Sometimes the things that we're anxious about so much never even happen. And that's why the journaling is so important, because it really takes the energetic load out of that fear response of yours. And once you do the task, I think, and you're on the other side, you will just realize how much you've just been building it up in your head, and it's not going to be as intimidating then. And then you will just fuel to take the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. So it's all about just pushing yourself to start. Like we said before, just reduce the time between, planting, like planning the whole thing that you're doing, and then executing. That's also, the more you drag the, the execution, the more you're feeding into the fear. The more time you're giving the fear, the more the fear is growing. So just execute it and don't worry about perfection. Like, it's all about the task, the creative energy flowing, and not the way it looks on the outside. And all the guidance and all the resources you will be given to you, as soon as you start taking those action steps. That's what I would have to say.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I love that you said, and there's one or two things I'm just like, I'm gonna kind of like respectfully disagree.
Yes.
There's a couple of, and these are the kinds of conversations we're here to have, right? So again, I'm always just sharing from the perspective of my own experiences and always trying to understand like where people are also coming from. And one of the things is I love the journaling thing, because I completely agree with that, is journal. Like the amount of people who come to me and they're overwhelmed, frazzled, overthinking all of these things, and I'm just like, just go and journal. Like, and you don't have to journal in a particular way. Again, like, do away, like take the perfectionism, put it aside for a minute, and just dump it out. Like, write what you would be telling a friend, or to whomever you want to complain, because that's our natural inclination, is to go and complain to someone, right? Like, I'll be like, oh my god, Adilea, like I can't figure this out, and I can't think about this, and this person and that person and this other thing, and because of this, and the list goes on. And what I say is, like, literally take that and put it on paper, because what's going to happen is you're going to see, first of all, you allow the loop to be completed, just as you said. You're getting it out from here, like inside, which is non-physical, onto the physical, and we're just getting it out of our bodies. That's how I see it. And once that happens, you are able to process it out. And when that happens, we close the loop. And what happens when we close the loop? It's not repeating itself again. It's not feeling like, oh, I need to start again. Do you know what I mean? So I love that. And because I say the same thing, I do the same thing, and that's really helped me a lot as well. But coming to the anxiety, I think, for me at least, like, I don't experience it much anymore, if at all. Like, maybe just in certain circumstances that are very new for me. But for me, like, tapping has been a game changer. I've been on every single day, like 365-day tapping experiment this year. And honestly, like, just tapping on all of these things and identifying things. And once I figured, I came to know and realize, like, what anxiety was, which is what I said earlier. Anxiety is just the fear of the future. What are you afraid of? Once I tapped on that and I started addressing all of those things, I don't feel it as much anymore. I'm not gonna, like, maybe, yeah, sometimes again it's gonna come up in certain situations, but I genuinely, this, what you were saying, again, just circling back around for, like, earlier, where you were just like, oh my god, we didn't have a plan for this, or I was not even the least bit worried. I was just like, yeah, it's okay, we'll show up, we'll figure it out. Whereas not even long ago, it would have been like, I would have been overthinking this and being like, oh my god, now what do I have to talk about? So I have to have my points and have to have this in place, right? Like, so I don't F it up and, like, just have nothing to say or something. And I'm just, it's instilled a sense of confidence in me that I'm just like, oh, it's the same thing. And also recognizing anxiety and excitement have similar biochemistry in our body. So it's kind of like, hey, am I really genuinely feeling anxious? Like, is there some kind of fear, is there a threat to my life? Then yes, absolutely, yeah, be worried, give it attention.
Yes.
But if it's not, actually recognize it's not about just taking it and pushing it away and trying to do away with that, right? Or just pushing through. And I'm saying this from a place of someone who was crippled by fear and doubt. And I think you know that because you met me at that point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I was crippled. I could not take any action. Like this would have taken us weeks and weeks and months of planning. At that point, like, oh, we have to have a full plan. We have to have all the things in place and at least have something. And now I'm just able to roll with the punches because I cleared all of that out. So if you are someone who's listening and if you have felt, similarly, what Adilea shared is valid, but at the same time, if you have underlying trauma, it's not going to work. Because unless you address all of that underlying shit, right, that's stopping you, because there's something, it's like you're kind of putting your foot on the accelerator and simultaneously there's something on the brake as well. You're not going to move. So until we pull that off the brake, that's when we're going to be able to move forward, which is why tapping, somatic work, journaling, all these other kinds of things, identity work as well, which is what you do, and I do as well, are phenomenal. So that's all I just wanted to add was like anxiety. There is a possibility that it doesn't have to rule your life. And having that fear dictate everything. And the other thing was, sometimes, yes, that is excellent stuff, like, sometimes we just have to show up and we have to push through. But there are certain factors that many are fortunate to have. Some of us have to work through that. So I've had to do a lot of, and honestly, tapping this year has changed all of that for me, because once I started addressing all those things, the core things that was stopping me, that were playing out, it's kind of just changed a little bit. And that is to say, it will energetically shift you as well. Because it's like just taking that heavy backpack off and just putting it down.
Yes.
And the proof of that is you and several other people coming and telling me, like, something's different. Right?
Yeah.
Something's different. So that's what happened. So again, it was just to point out, because sometimes we can almost, if we're not aware, gaslight ourselves into saying, oh, I just need to believe. And this is where affirmations create so much polarity, right? With people. There's a bunch of people saying, hey, affirmations work. And there's another bunch of people saying, hey, what is all this saying and chanting affirmations and, telling yourself, and it doesn't work. Like, nothing's going to happen. There is something that may be needed to bridge the gap. Because for me, I'm very much like pro affirmations, but at the same time, I'm also like, they may not work. Right? So it's a little bit of, it's that kind of meeting the person where they're at. Where are you?
I love that
where
you
exactly
brought
are
that
you?
up. I absolutely love that you brought this up, because I feel like it gives you so much more perspective to gain insight into another person's experience as well. Because the same with everything that's going on in the internet as well, the internet space, a certain way of working will help a certain group of people, but then the same thing won't help another group of people. And it all comes down to who you truly are and what you've gone through in your own life, which is why I'm so glad that you shared your experience as well, because it could help this one person to dig a bit deeper and go on, tap it out, maybe message Mosam and see how she can help you as well. Because I know Mosam and I know how you were when we used to do Clubhouse chats. And I had a huge shift in her energy, like over the past couple of this year, I believe, past couple of months. Your stories, your reels have a different energy. So yes, if you gotta tap that anxiety out, follow Mosam and get in touch with her, know her work, and start your healing journey.
Thank you for that. Yeah, like it honestly brings me so much joy because just to watch people get free from that, you know, because I know firsthand, oh my God, it was so crippling. Like I could not do anything. And doing all of these things is just, and you know, also coming back to the question of pushing through, sometimes then once you clear that, you're not going to have to push with that much effort. Like it's not going to, because you've taken the backpack, the heavy backpack, which has, you know, tons in weight of bricks. You can just like literally, because you've put it down, even though sometimes like you need a little bit of that initial startup energy, it's not going to be as like as much of an effort, if that makes sense. It's going to be a little bit more sort of easier. I say it in quotes. Because the amount of opportunities it's opened up for, like there's just things, you know, literally I remember some time back and when I first started my journey, and I was just like thinking, I see friends talking about this, I see other people talking about like how things are just dropping into their lap, you know, opportunities or just something or the other. Why doesn't that ever happen for me? Or, you know, like what's the problem? And once I started clearing all of these things, and that's not to say I haven't worked hard, but there are like in that working hard for the things that I've loved and enjoyed, and you know, things that needed to be done, there's also a little bit of that opening that's been created that's allowed for the magic to come in, right? That's allowed for the grace to like just come and shine its little rays or whatever, and to pour in. And yeah, yes, I want everyone to experience that.
I love that. Yeah, I think all of us deserve to experience some of that because, of course, as you said, anxiety can be super crippling for a lot of people. And, you know, like I have anxiety, not so often, but yeah, maybe like once a day I'll be super stressed about something. But where I was coming from was also not giving it enough power, but also, like you said, handling the anxiety simultaneously while probably, you know, also doing the thing that you're called to do.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think all of us can work on our traumas and you know, take the next step. But don't also you know, use that as an excuse to keep you stuck in the same patterns, because I see a lot of that in people, that they will keep cribbing and whining about, oh, but this happened to me and that happened to me. Yes, but you do have the opportunity to heal. You have so many mentors and coaches on the internet, if not that, free stuff on YouTube. To, or you know, like go to the therapist and access as much information as you can. If you're really wanting to take that next step in your life, you have the resources to heal certain parts of you for sure. But don't use that as an excuse to not do the thing, because I think we all deserve to move forward in our lives and take that guidance from you know, the universe and God, because the ideas that come to you come from there. And you know, like if you've got the idea, you've obviously got the resources to go ahead with the idea. So definitely don't use your anxiety as an excuse and not do it, because it would hurt to not let your light shine. But you know, do whatever it takes to move through that anxiety and learn how to cope with it, and you know, shine your light bright.
Yeah,
that's what we say.
I love that. And yeah, it's true. Literally same, like all of that. And also I just want to add, these books, if at the very least nothing else, there's so many books, right? Like there's just free relatively free mentors. Like you're just paying the little price of the book, whatever it is, and it's not as expensive if you're in a position to not be able to invest more, because that's how I learned, that's how I started. And it's something that I'm kind of going back to. It's almost like I've been in this spiral, right? Like everything is a spiral. And I'm almost in the same place as when I started. I'm just wiser with more experience. And I'm coming back to those things like almost full circle is what it feels like. And books, oh my God, I cannot express just how much. You may not like the whole book. You may think it was a waste, and yet there is one thing in there that I guarantee you shifted you for like and changed the trajectory of your life. You know, for good. For the best way possible. Because I have read a bunch of books and I'm starting to get back into reading. And that's one of the things that kept being pushed off, and I was like,
you keep
so I managed to read today. What are you saying?
I didn't hear you as well, but I was just saying that you keep recommending books to me as well. So
So yeah, like, you know, even if in the whole thing, it could be a story, and honestly, it could be, for me, I get lessons literally from like just reading fiction as well. And I'm like, that is so interesting. That is so there's no hard and fast. Obviously we go through phases and cycles, right? Like just like the seasons, we also go through our own seasons. And I just honor that. But if you're at a point where you're just like, okay, I'm ready to get out of this victimhood, I'm ready to make a difference and to, you know, change everything in my life, and just to take accountability for it. It's hard. It's going to take time. I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, everything is easy and hunky-dory. And like, you know, I've gone through that. You know, it sounds so glamorous and everything, but at the end of the day, one of my very recent realizations is like, all of these people that we're looking at, that we admire, you know, however seamless and effortless that they're making it seem, they've worked hard to make it seem and look effortless. And that's not, again, I think we can do a whole other chapter on this, like working hard and the things around it, the misconceptions and everything around it. But you still have to put in the effort. You still have to put in the time. You have to put in the hours and the blood, sweat, and tears, right? It's not going to just come like that. As much as manifestation is real and we're both about it, I'm very much for that. It's like, yes, things can come relatively easily. Yes, you know, it gets to be effortless. Yes, like there's all of this, and yet there is still your part that you have to play.
A lot of inner work, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of inner work, a lot of external work as well. Like, you know, we can be getting caught up in doing the inner work. And there's so much more in this coming, you guys. Like, so I can't wait to get you know, dive deeper into all of these topics. We both have so much to say. But I lost my train of thought. It's not that it's not no worries. It's not that it's you know, I completely did. It's gone. It's blown out.
How you know, like it's the the least effort is glamorized.
We can get so caught up in like the inner work and, oh my God, I need to do all of these things again. Perfectionism, ting ting ting. Hello, I got caught up in that. It's gonna burn you out because you're gonna be doing all of the inner work, and if you're not taking physical action, if you're not doing anything towards it, and you're just sitting and being like, hey, energetics works, like, you know, I saw this person telling me like it's energy work and all of this works and inner work, and I'm gonna do all these things and fix myself, you know, heal my trauma and fix my trauma and fix myself and make myself like this like beautiful perfect thing. And yet if you're just sitting and waiting for, while you're doing that, for all of that stuff to come, it's not going to happen because you're not taking physical action for it.
True.
And there are still going to be people out there who are arguing, oh, but you don't need to take physical action. Yeah, maybe for certain things, but you still have to take physical action. Anyways, we can dive in deeper into that later. I think I completely digressed off the point.
That's an important point.
But yeah, like it's wow, my brain is fizzling out and failing me right now. But I don't even know where we started off this entire conversation before I fell off on the other end.
So often. It's completely fine. But
yeah,
I totally agree with what you said. Like, it's both inner and external work. Like, we're here, we're put on the planet to basically do our part. So the actions are a huge part of that work as well. And I Are
you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hi.
So yeah, I think that's what I've had to share about
Yeah.
life that's happening right now, and also, like obstacles that keep coming up, like the question that we got as well. So the more and more you keep doing and taking those action steps whilst doing the inner work, I think the more you will progress and the more clarity you will gain as well in your life. So I think that's what I had to share, and also about handling things in your life. Like, I think life throws curveballs anytime, and almost every day you're putting off fires. You're at it, but always remember that there's more to your problem than. Are your lights back?
No, I was just checking. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so we're so stuck in the way that we're living. Like, we're complaining about our problems, we are whining. And that's what I think keeps us stuck in that same um, cycle as well, because our subconscious mind also can't see the solution then, because all that we're feeding it is that I can't be doing this, I can't do this, I don't have the capabilities. So life, then you don't also have sometimes you don't have the awareness to see the solution in life as well sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, obstacles will come wherever you are. I think even once you've taken that first step, you'll always have self-doubt creep in, but then I think you'll, like Mawsum said, you'll have the capabilities to handle it much better, because you're opening up your perspective. You're going from like a complainy person to a more solution oriented person. So I think that will open up your subconscious mind as well to see solutions everywhere, instead of just complaining and whining.
Yeah.
And some we all complain, we all whine. I think that's completely normal. But I think how much you do it is also what matters, and how often you do it. I think you can vent all that you want, but if you are again feeding into that venting and that whining much more and making the problem as big, you're not seeing solutions that are right in front of you.
And then
So
let me also add to that is there is a benefit that you're deriving from doing that. Like, it's good, it's healthy to an extent. If I'm just coming to you and being like, oh my God, just I need to vent and I need to get this out and let it out, that's fine. But if I'm going and doing it to you, and then I'm going to do it to my friend Sally there, or I'm going to do it to this other person there, and then I'm going to go and tell whoever, all these like 2-3 other people about the same thing, that's reinforcing the behavior. But then there's a benefit being gotten out of that, right? Like, what are you getting from that? A lot of the times people are getting some kind of significance, you're getting some kind of attention, you're getting some kind of validation.
Yes.
It's just like, if someone is commiserating with you, and they're just like, oh yes. I mean, it's feeding a need there. So if you're able to give that to yourself, and for me, recently, I've just been recommending morning pages a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept.
Yes.
Yeah. So I started doing morning. I actually need to share about this, and maybe record an episode. But I've been doing morning pages, for the last month actually.
You want to quickly explain what morning pages are as well, just like touch base?
Yeah, so anyone who doesn't know, I think we can again do another one. We've got so many ideas galore. But very, very quickly, in like a minute or less, or 30 seconds, morning pages is when you're waking up in the morning and you're literally writing out, like brain dump style, without thinking, just verbal vomit, I think, pretty much is what I like to call it, onto paper. And you're just doing 3 pages, no more, no less. You're filling out 3 pages, and by that I don't mean front and back. At least I'm not. I think as far as I know, it's like just 3 pages, so just 3 sides. So it's like one. If I have paper here, like it's just 1, and then 2 and 3, just single sides, right? So just 3 pages or 3 sides. And you're just getting that out first thing in the morning. I know some people make it look really pretty and they're doing it afterwards, but I like to do it as soon as I wake up.
Yeah.
And it's just so freeing. Like, oh my God. And a lot of the times, this is really great. And I remembered what I was trying to say that time when I fell off, was, if you're unable to sign up with someone or get a course, or you don't particularly know who to do things like get a coach or all of that, and you're not in that position, this is a wonderful way to get started. Because a lot of the times, every time I wake up with an issue or have some kind of frustration or something bubbling up, guaranteed 9 times out of 10, there's still always 1 or 2 times where I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
But 8 or 9 times out of 10, majority of the times, I'm going to walk away with a solution in those 3 pages, and it only takes me only 20 minutes. So if you're faster than me in writing, then it might take you less. But for me, it takes me about 20 minutes. And it's the best 20 minutes. So if you do absolutely nothing else, go in the morning pages and tap. I'd just add tap. That takes like another 5-10 minutes. But it's going to start opening you up, and you can vent on that, right? Like, just coming back to what we were talking about, is we can just give ourselves that kind of space to listen to ourselves, to address our needs. And I think that's going to start shifting. It's going to start creating a shift. And again, if you're someone who's listening and you're just like, all of this just sounds too much, please keep in mind, we've been at this for a few years. If you're just starting out, have a little bit of grace and a little bit of patience with yourself. It's not going to come overnight. It's going to be something that's built. It's like compound interest. It builds upon itself. Itself. It's gonna, it's a long-term game. Of course. And that's another thing I've been realizing recently as well. Like, it's a long-term game. None of this is the snap of a finger. You have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears. You have to put in the effort. You have to put in the time and the sweat equity.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that, because I truly, truly, truly believe that if we give ourselves the time and the stillness and the presence of mind, I feel like we're all blessed with the resources to handle the situations in our life. Of course, we do have mentors and coaches out there who fasten this process for us a little bit, help us understand it. But honestly, if you don't have the resources for that, you have so many things like morning pages and tapping and all of that. Because we are honestly, all of us are, like I said, creative. Sorry. I'm going to apologize anymore.
This is where it's like life is lifing.
All of us are creative beings, and we're blessed with, equipped with the same tools and everything like everyone out there. So, sometimes we don't see it because we're again stuck in the ways and patterns of the way we live. But, doing things like this, accessing those resources that are within us, can give us a lot of solutions to many problems in our lives, or at least a stepping stone towards those problems. And sometimes whining, complaining, and all of that just gives us a false sense of control as well. We think that we have this amount of control. Oh, sorry, I thought I lost you. Over the whole situation by complaining and whining and worrying and all of that. But I think if we can let go of the grip a little bit, let God, let the universe come and offer some of our problems to God, because like all of us alone, we feel like we don't have the power to deal with such massive things in our lives. And I don't think we have to. We get that guidance, we get that support, but all we have to do is just open up a little bit, and I know it could be a difficult concept for a lot of people to understand, but this tool like morning pages can help you access that divine guidance. So it doesn't have to be like this thing where you go and meditate and try to talk to God and all of that stuff. You just have to take out a pen and a paper, start writing, and just be open to receiving guidance, because it's there right there waiting for you. All you have to do is this is really funny that it's happening. I have no idea what to say at this point. I'm
And I
not
can
sure.
see my screen is also really dark now.
I know.
Let me see if I can use a filter to lighten it up. Is
This
that a
is
little
so
bit
crazy.
better?
My hands were here. I wasn't touching anything. It just goes off on its own.
Oh my God. It's okay. This is where we're just like, you know, uh, it is what it is.
Yeah,
We roll with the punches.
yeah, we do.
So, what were you saying before we got cut off? Rudely by
Yeah.
Instagram.
So all we were talking about was the fact that you can use a tool like Morning Pages to access those resources within you, because we all have them. It might seem overwhelming to, maybe meditate. Some people find meditating a bit hard. It might be overwhelming to think about the prospects of God and the universe coming in and helping you and supporting you and guiding you. So all you can do is just take that pen and paper every morning and start writing. I think Mawsum would agree that sometimes you're just scribbling like gibberish, but like it's all right. You can just keep going on and on and on. And I know for sure that something just always comes up. Like maybe it
I
might
have
not
stories
come
for
up.
days.
Yeah, maybe it won't
I'll
come
think I have
up.
nothing, and I end up with three, like all 3 pages of like, I'll start writing, and I'm like, oh, I feel so blank today. Like there's nothing I have to write. I'm literally writing that,
Yeah.
right? Whatever is passing my mind.
Yeah.
And again, that takes practice because I wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't really know. Like even today was one of those days actually. It's like, I don't really know like if I can cover all of them. And all the pages, like but I still have to write. Like I don't care how long it takes, but I have to fill the 3 pages. Like it's non-negotiable. And then I'll somehow end up with 3 whole pages of something else because I just kept on writing.
It's really funny how it works.
However, today there's certain times where it's just like, okay, fine. The last page I end up doing because I don't really need more, and I'm done with the 2 pages. I'm almost always inevitably I'll do gratitudes for the 1 page as well, and that just starts shifting the energy as well. If anyone's watching and wondering, you guys, I don't have power, okay? It's not come back.
But I'm so happy that you were worried about the lights the whole time, but we're still doing this. We're still doing this.
It's getting progressively darker.
I know.
When we started, it was like kind of light, but it's getting progressively darker. I was like, oh my God, I'm struggling to even make that myself.
I noticed it, but I wasn't saying anything. I was like, I'm just going to let her speak.
Oh my God. I'm so glad we did this today. And for anyone who's kept up with the whole conversation, before we were coming on, both of us were like, oh my God, like, I mean, there's a reason we were saying life is life.
Yeah.
There's so many things going on, including the power, and which was going off, by the way. And both of us were just like, oh my God, do we want to do this today? Like, it's so last minute. I literally took a 20-minute power nap before we hopped on because I was just like, all of a sudden, like just this wave of like fatigue. I just can't deal with anything anymore. That's another coping mechanism, by the way. And like sometimes you just need to take a nap and reset, right? Like sleep just resets everything. It's like hitting 0 even in the middle of the day. So yeah, I could not keep my eyes open. I could not. Yes, power naps for the win. Absolutely. And I was just like, okay, fine. You know what? We're still going to show up because both of us were just feeling this extreme, I guess, resistance in a sense. Because for me, I was just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm feeling so sluggish. And I think you were saying you were quite busy and stuff, like feeling that doubt and everything as well, right?
Yeah, I've had to decline like 5 calls now. I don't know how to work the do not disturb on my phone. I don't understand it. I was just praying that I won't get any calls.
We can chat about that after. Maybe I can help you. But so we were doing that, and look at us now. Like I'm literally wiping tears, laughing because it's so funny. And sometimes this is what
you were all lit up like when we started the call, and then it's just getting progressively
darker with every segment.
Who cares
Got
about
inaccurate every
perfection now?
sentence.
Who cares about perfection? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is fun too.
Yeah. So, and it's made for a funny story. Like, hopefully you guys have gotten a laugh out of it as well, especially if you're watching. If you're listening, sorry. um, but yeah, like this is what we mean. When you're doing that heavy, like you've pushed through that thing again, just that initial question we addressed, and you're pushing past like that thing that you've had massive resistance towards, and you've kind of just procrastinated it off for days or weeks or months, maybe years. But once you do it, you realize it didn't take that much effort and it was actually good for you. And this is what it does. It opens up the energy. I feel like we massively open up the energy, right? Because I'm definitely feeling better and more awake, just in the dark. So yeah.
So I think this is a great time to end the live stream.
Yes.
I think we've covered up
I don't
so
think we even
much.
We didn't anticipate going for the full hour, but I'm not surprised.
I expect no less from us. I think we could just, if you lighting was better, we could go on for like
probably.
But that's okay. I want to see you when I talk to you. So
yeah, I know. I want people to see me. I want you to see me too when we're talking. Hopefully, this is the one and only time.
Yeah, that's all right.
What they're doing. Yeah. And next time it's gonna be nice and light and bright.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mausam. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope everyone that joined could sort of receive everything that we had to share. And like, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mausam about tapping, and me, if you need any help, just feel free to just send me a message about anything under the sun. I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, and likewise, reach out to us anytime. I'm super open. I love questions, and just people coming into my messages and saying hi and everything. If just for whatever reason
these things.
Exactly. And we want to just be having these are the kinds of conversations we have behind the doors, like on the phone between ourselves, and we kind of just, because of just how much gold there is, like there's so many good things in there. Hopefully you've walked away with something useful and helpful, even if it's just one tiny thing, right? It doesn't have to be everything, but that's just really our aim and goal with this, and hopefully just to bring you a little bit of laughs, because hey, we're silly. I'm silly. And you enjoyed this, and there's just a lot more to come. So
we're going to be doing this for now every Thursday. Like, there could be a shift in schedule which we'll let you know about, and we'll be posting posters next time, I hope. So every one of you will probably know well in advance so that you guys can join and have the cozy night in with Mausam and me.
Yes. Awesome. Hopefully with light next time. Going forward. But thank you everyone for joining us. Again, if you can find Adilea on, is it Create Your Life Tribe?
It used to be. It's Create Your Life Academy now.
Oh, Create Your Life Academy. Okay. And you can find me on the Optimistic Agenda. So we hope to see you there. Give us a follow. And we're going to see you next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, night, evening, wherever you are. And we'll see you next week. Or in our DMs.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye everyone.
See you.
Bye.